The whole point of a video game is to have fun. Fun is the objective, and fun is often doing things we can't do in our regular lives. Like finally laying a smackdown on Mr. Smith for calling mum and talking all that trash on parents' evening, or just dishing out punishment on a legitimately bad guy. But sometimes developers cross the line with the tone or meaning of the violence they create, giving the anti-game violence crowd all the ammunition they need, and leaving the player feeling rather uncomfortable with what they just did. I'm Seb from WhatCulture.com, and this is 7 times video game violence went too far. Number 7, GTA 5's torture scene. GTA has always been the easiest target for protesters of game violence, as its focus on semi-realism and freedom to commit various forms of violence is a potent mix.
Video games are addictive, they promote hatred, racism, sexism, and they reward violence.
But the game is so tongue-in-cheek and over-the-top in style that the violence is rarely ever hard-hitting. There are exceptions where it does get ugly, of course, with the biggest one being the mission where Trevor graphically tortures someone for information. Teeth-pulling, kneecap snapping, waterboarding, and electrocutions were made even more gruesome by the fact you weren't just watching, but were given full control over this dark scene. Somehow, just battering randomers on the street feels a lot less evil than what we had to do in that warehouse.
This shop is popular with cops. You must leave now!
Number 6, Modern Warfare 3's Chemical Attack. Many game developers who end up wittingly or unwittingly creating a controversial and much talked about moment in a game feel the need to go one bigger and one better in the sequel. And as the industry continues to march towards futuristic everything, Link, we're looking at you, these moments end up becoming more and more shocking. And this culminated in Modern Warfare 3, where in an attempt to duplicate the shock value of the infamous No Russian airport scene in the previous installment, they unleashed a chemical attack right on top of an unwitting child, completely obliterating everyone nearby and plunging the city into chaos. Shocking as it was, it didn't hold the same gravitas as their first attempt and came across as being emotionally manipulative for the sake of it. Number 5, Duke Nukem Forever's Wholesome twins. In between wiping out alien scum, Duke Nukem has enjoyed several pleasures throughout his existence on PC and beyond, including the company of the aptly named Wholesome twins, who have a habit of living up to their names.
Alright, time for my reward.
Throughout their time in the game, they're portrayed as ditzy, airheaded sex objects who are just filled to the brim with suggestive puns.
I need some mouthwash.
Duke comes across them naked and worse for wear during a foray through an alien ship, and they confess they were forced to have sex for the first time with their alien captors, and just seconds later, they are ripped apart from the inside out. But not before Duke cracks a hilarious one-liner.
Looks like you're
The pinnacle of comedy. Whilst players may have enjoyed the classic Duke gunplay, the tact and humour from the previous titles was sorely missing here, and it's no wonder the game performed so well. Number 4, Hatred. Hatred is a game that leaves a very sour taste in your mouth unless you're someone who truly enjoys the most graphic and brutal murders with no real rhyme or reason behind them. The game has you play as a rampaging serial killer on a suicide mission, compelled to kill as many living things as possible before you meet your own grisly end. Whilst the flimsy narrative only barely serves to give some context to this kill fest, it has been argued that the level of violence is similar in other games, but the lack of any offsetting features like humour or a serviceable story, combined with the consistently dark tone, make this 4-hour slog a real pain in the neck. Number 3, Hotline Miami 2's Attempted Rape. Hotline Miami is an ultra-violent game that starts with your character pulling on a mask and then storming a building. As you finish bludgeoning and blasting your way through the building's inhabitants, in order to progress, you're forced to fatally wound the half-naked girl that's left over. And if that's not uncomfortable enough, as a dying woman squirms on the floor, the only way you can finish the scene is by approaching her and pressing the action button, which results in the killer attempting to rape her. A film director suddenly calls cut before you see the woman actually be assaulted, but you don't know this whilst you're playing it, so those few seconds where your character gets on top and appears to arch his back up left most players questioning what they had just done. Number 2, the entirety of Manhunt 1 and 2. If you're talking about video game violence, then you're talking about Manhunt. It still is to this day one of the most well-known cases of a game being banned in multiple countries, and with good reason. Back in the mid-2000s when this was the pinnacle of graphics. These gratuitous murders had scarcely been seen in this detail and this raw. Throughout the first game, you play as a death row prisoner making snuff films for a psycho film director, and in the second you play a mental patient suffering from amnesia. Very convenient framework that allows for a wide range of stealth executions of various people, which would put even modern day directors to shame. Number 1. Postal. So like Hatred, Postal has you going postal on a small population of people, with the ultimate goal being to kill a percentage of the NPCs on the map. With no background music or context to your killings to speak of, the violence becomes old and uncomfortable very quickly when you realise there's no point or reward whatsoever to the gruesome slaughter. The rinse and repeat of mindless civilian murdering makes you question what type of person you really are, when it dawns on you could be doing literally anything else right now with your time. Like socializing outside, or playing Overwatch. Games like Postal and Hatred are made to be as one-dimensional and controversial as possible, so it's no surprise they're on this list. But did we miss any? Do you agree with the list? Let me know in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter here. This has been Seb from WhatCulture.com. Thanks for watching.